I mean, now, okay, the whole point of pressuring the progressives was that those are the only people that actually kind of, would agree with Medicare for all. And by pressuring them, then they were going to pressure everybody else. And so with AOC, and then where the hell is Bernie when you don't see these people out there? I mean, I feel like we scared the entire establishment. I mean, we're going after our heroes, right? These are the best ones out there. And
Bernie was probably Bernie was probably aware of Force the Vote. I'm sure he couldn't have missed his radar.
He could have tweeted yes, heck yes, or, it's so crazy how people can't even say yes. Bernie Sanders couldn't even say yes to force a vote. Maybe, I mean,
Bernie Sanders could campaign for Hillary 23 times.
Well, yeah, and for Joe Biden. And for Joe Biden. How many times did he campaign for Joe Biden? He got on MSNBC a whole bunch of times, so he was sitting there shilling for, Hillary, shilling for Biden, didn't get any of the cabinet position, so it seems like the progressives continue to kiss ass, and then we're not getting anywhere with that strategy.
My good friend Joe Biden.
So you're kind of mad about Bernie, but you also felt sort of like you were betraying your former hero.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've been a lifelong Democrat and a staunch Democrat for literally 19 years, continuously supporting the Democrats. So I'm mad at them. I feel like I can be, and I feel like it's kind of like a personal relationship. You can't really hate somebody unless you loved them or something. And it's like, so I fucking loved Bernie for 5-6 years, and now I'm like, kind of think that he's a disappointment because you look at the fraud squad and they are a fraud because they stand for all these things and have great rhetoric, like Kyle Kalinske or like Crystal Ball or like a lot of people have great rhetoric that I don't watch. You have it's just that there's something like Sink. I would say all along, even after I stopped watching him in March of 2016 when he was interviewing Bernie for a 40-minute segment and asked him 3 different times how he would step down and how he planned to concede to Hillary when it was just March. And in California had not voted on April 2nd. And basically, yeah, so whenever, I stopped watching TYT, but every once in a while I would watch them, and I still thought they had pretty good points. It seemed like they were basically right. There's some other guys on the left. I don't want to say the wrong names, but it's like David Packman or Sam Cedar. Certain guys, even that one independent guy that ran in the Democratic primary, and he was just this rich guy, some of these people have good rhoric,
Tom Steyer.
People have good rhetoric. And the thing that's wrong with the squad is, like I said, don't worry, I quit TYT way ahead. I'm just tooting my own horn. I quit TYT March 2016 for sure.
Well, you said something about TYT had an interview where they were interviewing Bernie, and they kept on asking him how many times he was going to concede. Like, hey, you going to concede to Hillary?
3 times.
Right.
In a roundabout way. You know how Sink has this roundabout, lengthy, verbose crap, just like a Ben Shapiro.
I thought Sink is with a J, and it Jink.
I don't. Yeah, I'm just reading it. But so the thing is that like that fraud squad they're frauds because they just speak in the rhetoric. They have fine points, and they don't. When it comes down to it, like at an important time, they're not even for the most basic of their own very points.
And so you're saying that you're because
propaganda.
Because you love Bernie, because you loved Bernie, or because you loved AOC. Now that you see their mask has been unveiled. And you see that it's just one big, puppet show, one big dog and pony, bullshit theater. It's just one big spectacle. And you're feeling disappointed, and you feel you hate them. You're like, man, you all lied to me, and I believed in you, and now I'm here lost without a leader, and what the hell, What am I supposed to do?
I definitely feel a little anger, I can't lie. It's like basically the squad, I never looked up to them that much, but everything I ever heard, especially from Ilhan, I think, a lot of them, like everything I ever heard, tweeted and little videos I saw, I was like, man, heck yeah, right on, But it kind of makes all more sense now that I know it was all funded by TYT, which like I said, I never. But I started asking myself, why? I was thinking about criticizing them and making a little video about the frauds, but like, why is everybody doing this? And I'm like, well, it's because they're not standing up for the very basic points, and that makes them propagandists. And just having the rhetoric, it's just lip service and nothing more. It's empty gestures and it's patronizing people very much. It's insulting people's intelligence. It's imposterism. It's doppelgangerism, and it's like on purpose. It's like it almost seems to be on purpose. The point is like that. They're pretty fine people, and why would you? And their points are very fine, and it's like, why would I be against these people and criticizing these people? And I almost have to stop myself. Like I really have to stop myself from Bernie because he's even better. But it's just that. The reason is because they're they're not even for their own basic points. So what are they? I don't know. What use are they? They like somebody said on Twitter. It's like. Yeah, the guy that was before AOC would be doing the same thing, so what's the difference? So, like, what's the difference? If he was in there, he would just be doing the same thing AOC is doing now, so, like, why is it so important that we replace them, Shank? Because he was arguing, well, at least we got this other person out. And so he made the person on Twitter made this great argument. And it's just, that's what I have to ask myself, and that's what, it kind of relates to Bernie. When Bernie had a chance to fight about his basic, own election, he wouldn't fight. When it comes that he won't lift a finger to say, be for or force the vote. So these people, I just have to say, they're just propagandists. They're not really people to look up to. They're not really a good hero or legend, like the legend of Bernie that changed everything.
But I mean, I feel like I'm already being there. Like, what's different? What's different now? I've been there for a while. So when you see that the few progressives are there and they're not, going to push for the issues, and then you're like, well, shit, that means there's no hope. That means there is no hope.
Right. I mean, we all felt hopeless, and then we got a little bit of hope from this force the vote thing that just. The awareness of it could put pressure on.
Well, where do you think it's going to go?
No, we don't have to do anything.
Do you think it's just going to die and fizzle out and nobody's ever going to talk about it again? Because I feel like there's a lot of momentum there, a lot of steam, and when Jimmy Dore says, okay, February 3rd, we're going to do this force, the vote on some other issue, then basically what was the strategy? We're just going to act like a bunch of crazy people and online, change the narrative, and then just hope it works. Like, it almost did. We got the PAYGO rules changed just by acting like a bunch of assholes online. So I feel like, what if we were more focused? What if we had more of a strategy and we were arguing about tactics? We would get into it. Instead of arguing with the haters who just kind of hate you on a personal level, you argue with other genuine people that want concrete change. I mean, I like it when I see, Max Blumenthal and Aaron Mate, disagree. Like, what the hell would those two disagree about? So, yeah, I think that
if you're really thinking, you're going to disagree a little bit. You're going to have nuanced views, and you're going to clash on those nuanced views. If you have a real simple view, then it's easy to agree.
But I think this whole force the vote thing has actually been a great thing because of the great unmasking. So when you shut a door, you open a window. Yeah, TYT is dog shit. Well, welcome to the reality. They're online MSNBC. They made a little bit of money. They think they know it all, so we all got to... And what's their better plan? I don't know if you watched Gene Ugar's little thing, but he didn't have a better idea. He was just saying, we was going to do this thing and do that thing, and we started 2 years ago, and I know it didn't work, but... So he had an opportunity, and yet all he had to do was just say yes, and that would have changed everything. I mean, I don't even know. I mean, to give Bernie some benefit of the doubt, what if he didn't even hear about it? I mean, me in my little world, when we got on Russia Today, right? We got on Russia Today, and we got on all these Katie Halper shows and all these online. So I saw it over and over again. What if Bernie never even heard about it? What if it never even got to his office? I mean,
Bernie has more obligation and more responsibility as he is literally the person that supposedly created a whole new era of progressives. He has nobody else that is a leader and his voice that have more sway. So Bernie, as people who are in these, even just journalists, even low-level journalists like Ron Placone or Grant Elwood, they're constantly sourcing information. They're hearing about 10 times more than you are. People are sending him messages. People are, sending information his way and good points and things he might cover their way. Ron Placone's channel even talks about that he's sources the news from people, and I mean basically that's real. It's a benefit they should take advantage of. And think about how many passionate interns Jimmy Dore could acquire if he simply wanted to, or Tim Black. It's these people are the top of a lot of information. There's no doubt Bernie heard everything about for Force the Vote before either you or I was aware of it, unless you're watching the original. Bernie has a lot of, what is it called, impetus on him or whatever. I don't know. Maybe I'm using that wrong. He has a lot of responsibility, onus maybe. There's a lot of onus on Bernie.
He's got a big old onus on his face.
It's really important that we have our legends that define our politic, picked out well, and I want to find one that isn't just about rhetoric. Because
What
if you're
if-
just about rhetoric, you're a propagandist. If you're just about rhetoric, you're Al Sharpton, who has no chance but wants to get his message out there. Or you're Jill Stein, which has a good message. I loved Al Sharpton's message. I love Jill Stein's message. But I love Dennis Kucinich. I've never been more passionate about a politician than I was about Dennis Kucinich in 2016, or 2004, way long ago.
Yeah, no, I like Dennis Kucinich too.
He was amazing back in the day.
He filed impeachment charges for the war, so he tried to get the conversation started. But he didn't get a lot of things accomplished either.
He wanted to create a Department of Peace.
But he failed too. I mean, that's probably the biggest thing is that. Well, it's liberals, man. Why? How come if liberals are so damn smart? How come liberals lose all the time? And let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this question. There's nobody can save us. Maybe we have to save ourselves. Because you keep saying like our leaders need to be better. Yeah, we don't have a leadership, man. Get used to that idea. We don't have. There's nobody in government that's going to save us. Bernie failed us and will continue to fail us. AOC failed us and will continue to fail us. I feel like maybe I'll give them 2 more chances. I want Jimmy to do 2 more force the votes, and then instead of just saying, look, we unmasked them with Medicare for all, let's unmask them for another issue, and then another issue. And I feel like once you got 3 times, you knocked at the door and said, hey, please, sir, more porridge, and they didn't give you shit, then it's clear as day, because we could just say, well, we tried, and now they're all scum. But, I feel like just one time, I don't know.
They're going to flip it around on us.
They'll try to, but we got to get the rest of America on our side. We got to show America that these bastards aren't going to do a goddamn thing of what we want. It doesn't matter what they want. What America wants, the Congress will do whatever the hell it wants. So it doesn't matter what we want at all. This is a broken government. This is a failed state.
Well, in France, they had 2 candidates a few years ago for president or whatever, and it was like one was pro-Brexit, or one was what was it? Like immigrants or Brexit? I forgot now, but it's like they put them between a rock and a hard place, because like one person wanted to like exit the EU and one didn't or whatever, and it was like basically if you don't want to totally change things up, you have to go with this guy. Or like in Ecuador, the Ecuador election, ironically, what happened later, it was like one candidate was pro-Julian Assange, one candidate was against Julian Assange. I'm like, well, okay, there's only really one choice that they have. That's kind of suspicious. And it's just, I don't know, somehow it's kind of like that. Like, we don't really, anyway, I kind of lost my train.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I know where I'm headed. So I want to know what's next, I want to get this energy because a lot of it is, like, that was a big gut punch, but I feel like it was a gut punch for America, too, because, okay, yeah, we failed, or the force to vote thing failed, but America failed, the progressives failed, so that's worse, right? That's Graham Elwood was saying was, like, Medicare for all was the concession. We were saying, hey, we're about to burn this whole thing down, but if you happen to give us Medicare for all, we won't do it. That'll keep us at bay, because that was the bare minimum. We were asking for a lot more than that, but we were just saying.
That's what you're saying. I mean, you said first. I remember the things I want to say. So the first thing I was going to say was like Occupy Wall Street was maybe something I thought that could actually work, but then at the same time it lacked a leader or it lacked a proper organization of leadership. So it's like it sucks, or at least they picked the wrong leaders. And like basically, Occupy Wall Street was perfect. I think it was something at the heart of things, and it could have been it.
I was there. I was in the tent in Louisville. I was in, so I couldn't go. I got you. I think every movement has its own peoples and stuff, but I think everything you're saying is correct, because essentially I was following like 3 or 4 guys who was leading the whole thing, but they kept telling me they weren't the leaders, and then I, stood up for something, and then I kind of got dismissed real quick, and it was like, wait a second, this feels very much like you're leading it, and and you're not letting me participate. I'm just supposed to follow and shut up.
What I wanted to say was, you said you said essentially, you didn't say this word, but you said let's be patient, let's give them 2 or 3 more times. I'm saying like we've been patient since Obama. We've been talking.
I don't want to be patient. I want to show it crystal clear to Anna and Jink and Ted Cruz and the Republicans and the rest of America that these bastards aren't going to do what we want. So, okay, we tried Medicare for all because that's what we want. Now, is there something America wants that maybe we're not too keen on? But I just want to force the vote 2 more times to just show it so clearly. It's an unmasking to us because we were paying attention and we were educated. So it was an unmasking for us, but did everybody else get to experience the unmasking? Did everybody else see what we just saw? I told you about Jill Stein offering, the Green Party to Bernie Sanders, and that was when I gave up on, Bernie, but you didn't see that moment. So it's possible this magic moment that happened for all of us might not have happened for the rest of America. So I'm just saying, just more or less, not to convince the progressives, but to convince America. Convince America these bastards aren't going to do what we want. They just refuse to do it, even the tiniest little bit. I mean, a vote. We couldn't even get a vote on Medicare, so I'm convinced. I'm convinced already, but I'm not for sure if the rest of America is. That's what I was just saying about the 2 or 3 more times. And also, Jimmy Dore.
I say give them 0 more times, personally, and I just think either way, I'm so happy to see what's going on right now because I've been so ready to just quit politics recently. But what I'm seeing right now is really, really, really exciting. It's like I'm seeing all these people on Twitter. I'm following all these new people on Twitter who I know are just in my boat or in my camp. And I'm following all these people on YouTube that are freaking fed up and that they feel the same way I do. It feels amazing. It feels like something's coming together. I feel so excited. I'm sure the, let's say, establishment or whatever you want to call it is feeling so not excited. And
let's figure this out because we lost. What are you feeling excited about? We lost.
I feel excited about all these people. Like, okay, so there is a schism, a break, a divide in the Democratic Party. And who divided the Democratic Party? The neoliberals say it was the too far left people who want a litmus test and they want a purity test that don't throw the baby out for the bathwater. But the people on the progressives say it's you guys because it's the neoliberals that are like appointing people to office and not letting the Democratic Party actually nominate its own freaking presidential nominees, and you're subverting that with superdelegates, and we know that. We have WikiLeaks proof of that. You don't respect us, and you are taking away our democracy. And so the party hasn't had proper democracy since it instituted superdelegates 52 years ago, and so that's what I was kind of saying about you don't really have a choice. We've been very civil. And we've been trying to vote. We can't vote. They kneecap our votes in California, superdelegates, and the National Democratic Parties, superdelegates. They're undermining democracy, and they're doing it more than one way, like the things that were exposed in WikiLeaks.
So then maybe we're just recognizing our power because in politics there's something about optics. You could tell who won the debate by which side is cheering the most or which one's cheering. And it's weird because we lost, right? We got Pago changed or what have you, but I feel like we're happy. We're fucking excited. We're energized. And then Anna and Jink and all them are all pissed off and shit, going off and getting all pissed. Well, what's happening here? Like, technically they won, but what are they so mad about and what are we so happy about?
I think that's what I was going to say earlier. Is like sometimes you have there's somewhere I read it before, and it said sometimes you have to get rid of some of your old friends in order to make new friends, make room to make new friends. And I think that TYT is not our friend anymore. Finally, everybody's kind of on board. That makes me happy because it makes a new room for a new media group to emerge. Hopefully, ran by Jimmy Dore and Tim Black or something like that. The likes of them.
Well, there's a couple. There's actually one that's already out there. The Gray Zone. A couple that Ben Norton and Max Blumenthal, Aaron Mate, and maybe Jimmy's on it. I don't know.
I feel like Abby Martin.
Yeah, the Gray Zone. It was just like, I don't know, all of them was on, forced to vote side, and I've always been kind of like smart, but just kind of like underground, sort of Amy Goodman kind of like smart.
Right, I used to love that shit, man. God, that used to be such a good program. They started shilling for the covering up for the Democrats.
Man, well, we need an Amy Goodman. We need an honest Amy Goodman because like she's kind of like the New York Times for the YouTube, video world, and so we don't have. I don't know. Have you checked out Richard Medhurst?
I did subscribe to him recently just because I remember you mentioned him, but I subscribed to him because I think he posted a video on the Fraud Squad or something.
Yeah, he did, and I listened to it, man, and he was hardcore. It was hard listening to like him just laugh at how bad we lost.
Well, I'm happy. I'm elated. I really think there's a coming together of people right now, and that's powerful. So we need to realize in solidarity, we need to realize that we're a minority party within the Democratic Party. It's a struggling party for our own good reasons. We're a minority little end of it, and we need to get together to strengthen our small numbers. Like that's what the media needs to do. Like Jimmy Dore and Tim Black and everybody who's really not a pushover. Biatch, like some of them, and really, we really need that community and that solidarity, and that's sort of happening right now. People are starting to realize this is what it is. The Democratic Party is really over. It's more and more over. What are we going to do? We got to have our own, united force, and then if we can convince all the other Democrats that are watching MSNBC. If we could somehow convince them it's time to abandon ship and we all did it together, then we would be looking right at a new party. And if they can get rid of Ryan Knight, because he's obviously a snake and not real. He's obviously so pro-Biden. I can find 20 tweets of Ryan Knight that are pro-Biden easily without even having any effort.
Who is Ryan Knight? I don't even know who he is.
Ryan Knight is a progressive. Ryan Knight is a progressive that is extremely popular on Twitter. All of his tweets are on point. I mean, extremely beautiful, articulate points about how terrible everything is right now. He's so on perfect, like in his rhetoric. That's my point about these people who are just propagandists.
Well, Ryan Knight was for force to vote, so I got on my master list. He's on for force to vote. So I got.
Like I said, he says all the right things. That's what I mean by spot on rhetoric. He says all the right things, and then he mixes in propaganda for the establishment, just like TYT has been doing for ages. Cenk will say a bunch of nice things, then he says fucking nice things for the establishment over and over. It's subtle. It's brainwashing. It's disgusting, and he does not belong in the People's Party. You can't create a new party and put I mean, he's nice. He seems like a nice guy. He followed me from a long time ago, and he seems like a nice guy. I don't. It's just that I don't think he's real. He's not. I don't really am convinced that he's not real. So, and there's a bunch of YouTube channels I'm feel that way about too. So I mean, and I don't know if I'm right. I have a really strong suspicion. You don't need those people. You don't need those. What are they called? There's a word for it. Saboteurs in the freaking thing. Agent provocateur. It's something. He's got an agenda. He's totally pro Biden and pro.
Saboteur sounds good.
Let's push Biden left. Who thinks that's realistic?
Well, the people that say that stuff, we had a chance just now to force the vote to push him left. So when the fuck are we going to push this guy left? It seems like you're just saying, shove him in there and just pretend like everything's, hunky-dory and just go about with a smile on your face. Fuck that. The only way he's going to be pushed left is if he's shoved left because he's to the right. So, we need to get him at least center left, we just need...
And you know that because you know that he's there because he said he would veto Medicare for all. And I think that's exactly why people don't want to vote on this. They don't want to bring attention to this. They don't want the momentum. They've been taking the momentum systematically out of Medicare for all for a while. They had a really specific plan to undermine and get rid of it, and everybody's going for healthcare for all. Look at this big aura, this shroud of reality, where reality is that the only thing that's realistic is healthcare for all, and we're all coming to realize that. And this is what they've been brainwashing and feeding in, emanating out of the airwaves, just pumping into people this freaking rotten crap. And then now we're undermining all of that by pushing back and bringing it back the other way. If they bring it back the other way, it's ultimately they know where it leads. It leads to Biden having to veto this shit. And because if Biden has to veto it, I mean, that's horrible. That would be horrible optics. So this is why they have their motives, they have their agendas, and they know exactly what they want to do. And they're sitting there and they're patronizing all of us. They're insulting all of our intelligence. And only Jimmy Dore gets it.
Well, and you and me.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, you saying I don't get it, or are you saying you don't?
No, I just feel like I'm as articulate as Jimmy Dore after I watch him. But if it was before, would I even be able to say all that? I don't know.
No, he's got a gift. That's why he's the one. Well, let me tell you this. I want to take this energy and say what's next because I feel like the only reason I wanted the two things is just to get the rest of America on board. But we got tools, man. We got strong tools that we didn't have before. So we were saying to the progressives in Congress to use their power, use their agency. Well, we need to use our power and our agency as citizens, right? So what does that mean? What does that mean? Jimmy Dore's got an army. Jimmy Dore, when he says, okay, we're going to do this, then people are doing that. So it seems like we got to get Jimmy Dore, like, he's all fucking pissed off, like, you know, out of his mind kind of pissed off right now. And we kind of got to get him deflated a little bit, get him, you know, tell him to breathe. It's not over. If anything, we know he's got power. Come up with the next good idea. All you had to do, he said dumb shit all of his life, and he said one smart thing, so say another smart thing, Jimmy. And then, you know what I mean? Like, and then what's next? What's next?
Jimmy's done a lot. Jimmy's done a lot for us, and a lot has fell on his shoulders.
Well, I wanted to ask, what do we use with the tools?
I'm getting to it. So he had a lot on his shoulders, a lot fell on his shoulders, and he's done a really good job. He had to stick up. He had to call out his ex-boss yesterday. He had to call him a propagandist. He had to call him a corporate shill. He had to call him a sellout. He called him everything under the sun, and he did a great job. And it's all true, and it's all a long time coming. And so Jimmy Dore has done great, and I want us to get him to start a media empire of his own. Just totally the progressive thing that comes as big as 10 times bigger than Crystal Ball. And I want Tim Black to be on SNL. I don't know, but they basically, I think what's next for me is I want to build it. I want to build a media empire. I just subscribe to. I don't care. I just subscribe to just like 20 awesome YouTubers, and I want to freaking reach out to them and get people working on the same page to really try to take it forward and have a coherence. Integratedness with it, and try to work together cooperatively for these ends, for our common ends, and instead of being so scattered, we're already such a fractured little part of the party that doesn't even realize we need to get the hell out of there. And half of us are still thinking maybe somehow the next primary with all these damn superdelegates, we're going to get somebody freaking decent with all this damn manipulation, with all these people strategically stepping in and out of the freaking race, freaking steal votes away. And the president, what is the president worth? If you could buy the president, if there was a dollar amount, what would it be worth? If you could bid for it. I would say it would be worth at least $700 billion. At least. If you could $300 billion. But what is it for Rudy Giuliani or whatever, what is his name? Sorry, the other one. Bloomberg. What is it for Bloomberg to spend $4 billion? It doesn't mean fucking shit. Sorry for but it doesn't mean.
Nah, I like the cuss words. Those are my 7 words. George Carlin, my 7 words.
It doesn't mean goddamn thing if they spend $4 billion to fuck Bernie out of it, because Bernie's going to take $4 billion out of just the pharmaceutical stocks just the first quarter or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's really, you got to think like that, and I do think that they're thinking like that. And beyond superdelegates, there's a million things they're doing to keep your candidate out of there. So abandon ship. The Democratic Party works with them to let this happen. The Democratic Party, W. Washington Schultz, everybody they put up there is going to be making this happen. I'm sorry, it's the reality and it's the truth, and I wish it wasn't so. I'm a lifelong Democrat, but Dem exit is long overdue. It's here. It's upon us. You got to do it. It's just what we got to do. We got to form a new party. I think it's kind of good and exciting. We're not forming a new freaking government. We're forming a new party. That's all. We're forming a new party. The new party can change the government and represent the people. Like Jimmy Dore said, we're constituents. We're tired of being... Do
you like that People's Party?
Except for Ryan Knight. I have no problem with it.
Ryan Knight's the problem. I guess it's just I've been in third-party politics like my whole life, and I think that's just where my heart is. I'll always be a Green no matter what. So, but our People's Party, you know what I mean? Like that's sort of the radical left. But I don't know if the People's Party is it. I don't know if the People's Party is the solution.
I definitely will say this, though. I love the Green Party. They have no momentum. They're never going anywhere. The infrastructure, everybody knows that everybody I hear from, everybody time and time again, is that the people in the party who actually are at the level that they're making money, and the people who are high enough in the party, they're complete power mongers. They're completely just. They don't change anything. That's why they're not getting any more votes. That's why it's basically dead and lifeless and limp as far as a fucking vibrant party might go. The new party, the People's Party, has the newness. That's what is needed for a party. Everybody's already heard about the Green Party. Everybody already realizes the Green Party is unrealistic, but a brand new party that's gaining momentum super quickly, that's got potential. I hope the People's Party, I think it could be I always loved Nick Brana. As long as Nick Brana's in charge, you know what? I should be for it.
I just learned about Nick Brana. Who's Nick Brana?
Oh, Nick Brana is the guy that founded the fucking People's Party. He's the guy he was for he's the guy that's like basically one of them, but he was the guy that was for draft Bernie. He was like trying to get Bernie to run you know, or whatever. He was he was all about Bernie continuing to run, like maybe run independent in the 2016. He was a former Bernie staffer, and he's been saying